Hey everybody, I am coming making this video message and I want to talk to parents, mainly black parents, and the toxicity that is in our community when it comes to how we raise our children. And I'm going to bring out just a few things that parents when I was growing up would do. And this is general, but I want to talk about these things because if you are still this type of parent, you've got to understand that it is not normal if you are doing this pertaining to your children or even your grandchildren. And it was never talked about because back when my generation was little, the millennials, we were told that we didn't have an opinion about what we were told to do. And so now, me being a grown woman, when I look back on ways that a lot of parents had and how they raised us and what they demanded from us, now I can see so clear that our parents were like that and raised us like that because they had toxic parents or they had toxic grandparents that were brought up a certain type of way. They were made to be grown men and women when they were little children. And so these things leak out when our parents were raising a lot of us. And so everything that our parents saw in the household, everything that they were taught and made to do, they imposed it and they inflicted it on us. But now it is time, especially if you know God, it is time to change that narrative. It is time to change the toxic patterns. Here is the number one thing that a lot of black parents would do. Now, other races, they may have done it, but I mainly would see black parents do this, and it came to dinner time. When it was dinner time and you were a child, they would tell you if it was something on your plate that you didn't like, we were raised and we were told if you don't eat it, you're going to be hungry. Parents then didn't understand that if your child does not like a particular meat, if they don't like a particular vegetable, if they don't like the texture of something that you are feeding them, it does not mean that they are ungrateful. What child knows in their mind to appreciate their mother or father? A child is going to be a child. A child doesn't understand, oh, you know what? My mom and dad, they work their butts off. They work in 2, 3, or 4 jobs. So if they give me lima beans and if they give me some spam, I can't tell them it's nasty and I don't like it and I'm gagging eating it because that will come off as I don't appreciate them. That's the number one thing that you would see a lot of parents do, mainly black ones. You were told, we were told, because it was sometimes, God rest my beautiful mother and father's soul. Now, my mother more so would let me and my brothers, she'll let it go. If we told her we didn't like a particular meat or we didn't like a particular vegetable, she would just tell us to throw it out. Sometimes she would say, well, you just gonna be hungry because that's all we have. Now, I understand. Let me say this outside of me bringing this up. There were some parents, they told you that if you didn't eat certain things, you were going to be hungry because that's literally all they had. They didn't have a lot of money. So whatever money was available, or if they got food stamps, they were only able to buy what they could afford. And so after that, if you didn't eat it, you literally were going to be hungry. So I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about parents that had money. They had a good job, but they just felt like if you don't like something, you're being ungrateful. You're being disrespectful. You're not working. You're not paying bills. You're not buying the groceries. So whatever I put on your plate and I just slaved over this stove, you need to eat it. And I know for a fact that this is why a lot of us have grown up as grown men and grown women. And so if we've had children, you have to catch yourself as a mother or as a father, and you have to make your children understand, oh, you don't like that? Well, you can throw it in the garbage. I'll make you something else. Or if you don't want to eat that, you got to come up with something else that is going to suffice for you because I'm tired and everything else is frozen. Do you all catch my drift? And so I want to make you all aware, if you are a parent and you are forcing your children to eat things that they don't want to eat because they don't like the taste of it, they don't like how it smells, they don't like how it looks, they don't like the texture of it, don't be abusive to them and yell at them and curse at them and tell them, well, if you don't eat it, you're just going to be hungry. Just don't do it, guys. The next thing that a lot of parents would do, this is still under the umbrella of food. If you did something wrong, if you acted bad, maybe you got in trouble at school, maybe the tone of your voice went up a couple of notches when your mother or father told you to do something. Maybe you got into a fight at home with one of your siblings. When your parent would find out about it, or your parents found out about it, you know what a lot of parents would do, especially black parents? They will tell you, you go to bed without eating. This is very toxic. This is also a form of abuse. But again, a lot of people, a lot of us, we felt like that was normal. We didn't see that it was anything wrong with a parent telling you, go to bed hungry. They didn't care about your tears. And this is all across the board. And so if you feel some type of way about this, you can keep your opinion to yourself. But those that get it, as I always say, and those who don't, you just won't. This is toxicity. This is a form of abuse. How dare any parent tell a child because they acted up or because they did bad things that they cannot eat? Are you kidding me? And you see certain parents, you might not see it that often now because Gen Z is a very different generation, but you may see it here and there. If there are millennials that are raising Gen Z children, you may see some of those parents do the same thing with their child or with their children as far as that goes. But if you are a parent that is telling your child, or you're telling your children, go to bed, you will not eat, I need you to understand, if nobody have told you or you don't know, that is a form of abuse. There are so many other ways that you can discipline a child. Some parents, they take their child's video game. They tell their child you can't go outside. They withhold their allowance from them. They take their cell phone from them. And these things may sound corny to some of you all, but you know why a lot of these kids now, as far as Gen Z goes, why they're disrespectful and disobedient and entitled? Because the way of the world has allowed these kids to consume a lot of things through their cell phone, through their tablets, through the computer. These devices are raising kids. And so a parent sometimes will be relieved if their kid is on TV all day, or the Xbox or PlayStation all day, or they on their cell phone all day, or their tablet. It doesn't require them to put a lot of time and energy or make the sacrifice of what they personally want to do, because a parent still has to live their life outside of being a mother or a father. It doesn't require them to do anything. They can just tell their child, well, get out my face. And that child can entertain themselves with a cell phone. But I need to let you know, if you're telling your child, well, you can't get supper, that is a form of abuse. And more people need to talk about this. More people need to talk about this. This is something else that's very toxic as well, that parents would do. And a lot of people, you definitely will see this now. People make jokes about it. They think it's funny. I personally think it's disgusting. Is where there will be double standards with male and female children. So a lot of males, men, they will allow their male sons to be sexually active. It is a badge of honor for a lot of fathers, to give their son condoms and tell them, oh, you can go have sex. Oh, you got a girl? My man. And they bumping fists and they patting them on the back. But let your daughter come home with the guy. The father will be ready to rip her head off. The father will scream and holler and cuss her out and threaten her. The mother will go off, but nothing is said to the males. Now, I thank the Lord that my mother and father, they got on me and my brothers about this type of behavior. My mother straight flat out told me, I will not give you a license to F word. Y'all know the F word. I can't say it. But my mother said, I will not give you birth control. My mother and father didn't play that. My father made sure he put anointing oil on us and prayed about us fornicating and having children out of wedlock and all of that. And it never happened. Not with me or not with my brother. And that's not to brag. I want to tell you all this because there has to be a standard. You all as parents, us as parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, we have to bring back some type of standard for the family dynamic. We cannot lose sight of this. Why people call it lame, why people laugh at it, why people make jokes about it, the thing is, standards are not dead. Standards are not out of style. Values and morals are not out of style. Don't get confused because you see people in the world who are deviants and they are promiscuous and they are ripping and running the streets and they don't have any type of self-control in any aspect of their life. So when they look at you set a standard for your child, when they see that you question your child, when they see that you make rules and set boundaries, they will look at you as a bad parent or an overprotective parent. But I thank the Lord that he blessed me with a mother and father that cared enough about me and my brothers. They cared enough to put me and my brothers on the altar at the feet of God. My father cared enough to anoint our heads with oil. My father cared enough to talk to us. And both of my parents, again, God rest their soul, but both of them instilled so many morals and values and standards in me and my brothers. But that is something I noticed that is toxic in a lot of black households. They will big up and gas up the boys in the family. It is a badge of honor when they have sex. They're not disappointed in the son if he loses his virginity. And this may not be all black, parents that do it or black fathers that do it. But you all know I'm not telling a lie. A lot of them do it. But if the daughter comes and says, well, I want to have sex, I want to have a boyfriend, I want to bring a boy over, the parents lose their mind. They lose their mind. And so that's really what I wanted to bring to you all. There are so many other things that I can bring up, but I think those 3 things that I gave you all as far as toxic examples that go on in black households and how it needs to be turned around and changed, I think you all get the point. Because like I said, a lot of us, we will normalize this stuff. You will grow up thinking that this stuff is okay. But in my alone time and in my silent time and when I've prayed, a lot of things come back to me and now I see things clearer. And so I was talking to somebody yesterday and we were just having a discussion about how when we were children, there were so many things that were done to us and we didn't realize that it was bad parenting. We didn't realize it was toxic. But what you have to do is you have to give your mother and your father grace, because more than likely if they raised you a certain way, telling you to go to bed without supper because you acted a fool or you did something bad, or them forcing you to eat something and you really did not want it, and them going off about it saying you don't appreciate them, or telling you just gonna be hungry because you're not getting anything else when it was plenty of other food in the house. See, those things have been normalized, and where we are in God, a lot of us, we can grace our parents because we know and understand that they only got those patterns and behaviors from their parents. I remember my father telling me when he was 8 years old, he was on a train in Chicago going grocery shopping. And my father was born in the 1950s. My mother and father were born in the 1950s. And so they had to grow up very quickly. And my parents' time, they were getting married in that era at 14, 15, and 16 years old. And so their parents, a lot of them came and they were raised down south. And so they had parents that had very harsh and very strict rules. Back then, from what I was told from the elders that I know, if a young lady got pregnant in the 50s or the 60s and even partially in the 70s, they would ship them down to Mississippi because they brought shame on the family being pregnant out of wedlock. They were embarrassed. So they would ship them to a family member that stayed down south, or a family member who had a friend that they trusted. I couldn't believe it when my mother and father told me that is how they would handle those situations. They didn't believe in the girl, for the most part, deleting the fetus. What they would do, they would make that rebellious teenager or that rebellious girl that got pregnant, they would make her keep that child, but they would get rid of her, and out of shame and embarrassment, and so people wouldn't talk about them, they would ship them away down south. You all can confirm, because a lot of elders follow me on my channel. You all can confirm if this stuff is true. Come in the comment section. Come in the comment section. Let me know. Confirm it. Say, yep, that's right, Kiki. That is very true. So, guys, if you're a parent, if you have one child, if you have two or more children, please just be mindful of imposing and inflicting the bad parenting on your children that your mother and father or grandparents inflicted and imposed on you. And if you were a child whose parent was very harsh in how they raised you, just give them grace. Because if you listen to their stories and how they were raised and how they were brought up, those things were taught to them. Their parent expected and demanded that they do certain things that that they made us do. And so it's not too late to change it. It's not too late for you to say, okay, my son, my daughter, my children, they sitting at the table. I made a meal that my kids don't like everything that's on the plate. So I'm going to tell them they can throw it in the garbage, or I will offer them something else to eat because they don't like what I cook. They don't like that particular vegetable. They don't like that particular meat. They don't enjoy it. It tastes funny to them. It smells funny to them. As a parent, be okay with that. You all probably are kind of tripping because this is like a different video message. But I told you on my channel, I address everything. You can't just be so deep and spiritual and over the top that you act like you don't see and you don't know, or you're not aware of all these other situations, circumstances, and issues that go on. Whether you follow Christ or not, you have to look at what the reality of your situation or family dynamic is. And then you find a way to change it for the better with the guidance of the Holy Spirit. That's the video message. Well, guys, it's time for me to go because I have some other things to do. The Lord willing, I will be back with another video message. If any one of you have taken offense to anything I spoke about in this video message, it's okay. It's all right. I am not worried about it. I am not concerned because I know you will forgive me in the morning.